Hello, the legion, hear your name be told. We value not as tribe. The way is more than old. Since semi-ancient times, it reminds us, republic has been to each nation that revealed it, internation sciences, the ordinary of Americans, forsaken means, as all, everyone's means, ulterior, tactically ulterior from space's value nature system. They are not by forced, all tactical ulterior from natural value nature system, having to justify that in relationship to negative value nature progressions. The proverbial devil, a breaching method, a breaching organized crime method, set up all kinds of crazy tactical, all kinds of laws, crazy laws, worse than witch trials, with slavery. Slavery is a fact cheap in nature, sophistication to counter it that takes understanding that too with it. The method, because this is in motion now. There's an offensive breaching method that set up all kinds of crazy laws before the births of our founders. See, simple things like that are needed understood, but that's obfuscated. That's obfuscated because if those simple things don't correlate with what is worse than areas maintained now online, formally juxtaposed, overtly and unrealized, rolls with this nature, not just as regular legalized criminal insidiousness nature that nations are on paper. You can't criminally legalize this. This is what religions are about. Since semi-ancient times, internation sciences were criminally re-engineered. To criminally re-engineer the human fact cheap in nature. To perpetually exploit it as a measured, standing, live progression cover-up nature from peak sophistication, measured, cultivated, self-cultivating, blaming, looking through comparison at its sophistication, when bottom-up states in all areas of each modern nation and the forced market's position with that nature is areas maintain internation with no one to blame it on because it's not sourced by one nation. It's not sourced by our nature, but under these conditions, which were all roles with opinions, not letting a quality of fit, if and when we're not letting a quality of fact treatment nature that's true. That's what I'm trying to get, and people through their whole lifetimes are attached to not let free speech, and it's just other is written in databases. And this is slavery. This is exactly the same one. That's the same, just like it is between nations. It's not sourced by cities and by suburbs, but is fluent through them. Not just through criminal justice, they're victim predators too. Every employment of state, of everything, of every branch of government, every military employment, reliant upon a system as a perpetually internation-based exploited manifest to areas as measured live progression cover-up natures. That's what helps this value nature system claimed, like played out, like it has sophistication, like looking at what, and that's why also if we look at what really was recorded, it doesn't correlate with all the other insidious things, and it reveals scientific fact treatment natures areas and internation maintained with precedence because of this multi-front. Everyone needed to cover live progressions and manifest within as multi-front styles of it, and that was his self-maintained. because they can't see it until it's too nor until not through needs to cover up lies and all kinds of things like that, because the sensibilities, the way they make people interact in relationship to databases. When we have formal criminality juxtaposed with overt criminality in acts and sequence shifts, covering it up with the formal criminality through time, stacking interbranch corruption with foreign police, foreign medical corruption here, intermilitary, interbranch. And you know what they do too? Now I'm talking to you about this too because they attach me to fake conversations about agencies. So now that was with witness fabrications for the Trade Center context, which we were in right before that, with a part of the case that was after proving there was sequence shifts from inside the court with that, because my father proved that he had brought and hand delivered his papers as a labor pro se litigant in a RICO case in a complex. It's organized crime, but it's not for it's in the former director of the FBI was a co-defendant with federal criminals from my town, and they had a daughter migrate, and they had other criminal relationships to other defendants, co-defendants in that case. It was like pension thefts, thieves, and they're like proven pension thieves and things like that. But when I was in school, they weren't, and you know they had games like that, which I don't have. I'm not trying to make a point about games. I'm trying to talk about there's a database crime. There's database illusion stacking. In other words, I'm not trying to talk about opinions. We're trying to talk about the sequence shifts, because that's with campuses and with areas, and it's tied to witness fabrications. And they've been sequence shifting, forging names, and doing it with doctors, using triages too when they need to cover up and they can't kill someone. Also sticking guns, threatening women's lives, intercity police through areas, now through online persuasions, because investigators online were correlated with crimes, and with worse than criminal incompetence with as the legal treatments. I'm not even a lawyer, I'm not a police form, but the investigators with that, and the investigation themselves recorded and involved with other child predators, with them with wire shifting, so with them with mass stacking, different kinds of police with tactics, keep sending more names involved, so they could, they're not letting free speech and just writing other databases. They're pretending that police equipment records stuff and then just putting stuff in quotes. By putting the name of police surveillance and putting stuff in quotes made up to hide people recorded and confessed involved with drugs with the kids since they were kids. Now, and I had nothing to do with them, but now brothers with the police involved with the ones recorded and confessed, threatened me not to tell on what they affected confessions and stuff to me in relationship to a detective Dylan and his family through time. Now with the kids, again, because I understand his tactics now. Because I never had a conversation with him, but he verifies, he has other people make the confessions and demonstrations, and then non-verbally demonstrates. Like as if, in other words, tied to witness fabrications and bad things with kids since they were kids, especially kids with no fathers and things like that. Also recorded and confessed tied to their roles intercampus with police, interbranch, and with the campuses of the police and stuff like that with this at the same time. So we have multi-front natures as what motivated this originally, progressed from that, measured as pseudo-sophistication nature. Sophistication nature is correlation nature that is also aware of what causes evolution. Real evolution So, and we're going to treat not the cultures, because we're not going to treat the cultures. I'm just going to talk about the crime, nations A through Z for the Native Americans. Then there's no, in other words, there shouldn't be any, because we're talking about the nature of the law here. I'm not even a lawyer. I'm not a police form, not a criminal. The nature of the law is measured forsaken. Just like when people couldn't start talking about how it was wrong to be about slavery. They had laws. If you meant to talk even about building infrastructure outside of a monitored, internation monitored database relationship, where even that was internation extorted victim predators, then they hurt everyone. In other words, they knew we were going to come out of this in a phase, but in phases as a fact treatment nature, tied to self-reliant, self-maintaining database relationship exploitations that are perpetually preventing free speech and just writing other, sequence shifting, interbranch in collusion with illusions tied to that, motivated by rackets they have with all kinds of rackets manifest in relationship to this, like with the opioid crisis. That's because the doctors, their patients, they're with crime rolls with the street together, intercampus, database, interbranch, drug clicks, interbranch, through time, with prescription drug crimes, and with overt drug crimes through the kids, tied to database crime method against each age of fact treatment nature. This is not just regular pseudoscience that can't see the way that we have a tactically denatured relationship to nature. That can't see that. We have to explain the organized crime offensive breaching method that motivated that, where everyone was a slave and arose to it, and not play it like it was anything else. Because then we're of truth. That's a quality of fact treatment nature that can realize that there's still slavery. There's still what it was built for. Blamed on others. There's a breaching method. And so to understand how it did this archetypal organized crime, this criminal enterprise, we have to understand how it attacked, what it understand originally. That's what the ancient snow people are for. 3 pluses. And that's because overall value, active value, and finite value. Species, group or sex, and individual is value right to left at the same time. In that order. So we'll get to this. And this is English, who's revealed to teach more. I didn't read this. This is demonstrable. It's in relationship to this proof that it's English and every other science is being areas maintained online and maintained per a method, self-maintained, obfuscated for reasons ulterior from then what they even realize. Everyone doing it because in relationship to, for example, why the predicate is value, always positive onto positive self, and why the predicate act is always negative onto the negative, positive self, positive being the identity is being progressed through by the forever nature that is pushing it through to the extent that is not debatable. And with this being a demonstration of it being further. But it takes a quality of fact treatment nature in science that is science, and not having to debate what is not science as science, especially sequence shifting. And we have the news recorded and confessed involved with rackets with everything tied to sequence shifting, cover-up roles. Investigation roles with investigators and investigators interbranch, internation, intermilitary, covering up their live progressions tied to NAVE fact treatments, database crimes, witness fabrication roles, forging name roles, switching name roles, just blind defenses of each other, exploitations of that, that was, is, and within as a quality of fact treatment nature that the military is not letting, because they're breached. Intermilitary. Every modern nation lost to this. Our American history are not letting understood. The victim predator teaching. It's just manifest. You can read it just in the opinions, the same things repeated in the news and stuff like that. Pretending, in other words, we know we're in a tactically denatured relationship to nature. Native Americans, no. That's because they're Native Americans. It's because the sequence shifting. Quality of fact treatment nature is dishonest with itself. Everyone's victim predators because everyone's hurt by this, by a method against each age of fact treatment nature to each area as a realized correlation nature. And them as a criminal insidiousness nature, knowing and needing and having facilitated what was and is that other ways. Not as worse, but no one's going to even get to the breaching method. That's why they don't talk about it. They keep it on black and white, which was the tactic. Excuse me. They keep it black and white was the tactic with the fact treatment nature, because it's sick. In other words, there wasn't prejudice. That wasn't to make money. That was because everyone was locked into a long-term breaching method where a little piece from each nation was the key. The nations was taken to collusion, internation, and everyone built knowing they were going to blame it on others. And knowing how they were going to have to hide life progressions. Because nature then demonstrates negative value nature progressions, which Simons demonstrates. And if we're trying to stay all value all ways, right to left and then left to right at the same time, I mean, individual, they have the nature of the conversation about women and men, when the whole difference the whole time is how good we can correlate, because we're supposed to be perfecting, removing what is not real always. You see what I'm saying? And that's what takes correlation of sexes to see. And we especially with women, we know we're in a negative value nature progression. And that's how you have to treat women's rights. I'm not even a lawyer, I'm not a criminal, I'm not a police force, but we have to treat it as an organized crime. Attacking the database crime. This is slavery. This is slavery. And this is also needing to pretend care offensively with courts, with the same kind of crimes that they're pretending to be against. Recorded, sequence shifting, database illusion stacking, per areas maintain influences for that. Not understanding about through needs to cover up lies and delusions, relationship to recorded breach precedents. That not later addressed. Not free speech, unless just the right to make sound and have whatever written. Sequence shifts. Indifference to that. Worse than, that's why how they were motivated to that, the branches originally. And in like prisons, in every single thing. In healthcare especially, tied to prisons, courts, and police forms. And force shared police. Force England be the face of it, the way it was extorted there too. Everyone forced to react. Everyone naive, tactically pseudo-educated, fact treatment nature. Because they criminally denatured the human education that was originally revealed. You know, since ancient times, it just reminds. Religion, religion. They say the word religion comes from relingo. Religion, relingo. Fix the legion stole. Be valued not as tribe. Not as tribe. Long